Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Part number 2 of this Golang GraphQL tutorial. So in this one we're going to continue where we stopped in the last one. So in the last one we were able to finally start a server and be able to play with the GraphQL playground and to get an array of Meetup, and where we get is user owner finally. All that was working good. The only issue we do have right now is the fact that everything is in memory. So this is something we're gonna fix. And also I would like to clean up a bit all that, because now the thing is this resolver file gonna become pretty messy. I'm not sure if we're gonna change that in this video, but that's gonna be something I want to do later. So what we're gonna do, it's like I say in the intro, we're gonna make use of GoPG, which a kind of a ORM-ish library. This is the same stuff we've used in the other tutorial. So what we're gonna do, it's we're gonna copy paste this line, go get GoPG PGV9. Inside my text editor in the terminal, I'm gonna start my server and I'm gonna paste this line. By doing this go get right there, what it's supposed to do is inside my go mod, you see is right there. So now I can use it. So what I'm gonna do, it's a bit like what we've done in the other tutorial. So the REST API with Golang. I'm gonna put a link at the top of your screen, right? If you want to look at this first. So here, we're gonna create a new directory called Postgres. And inside that, I'm gonna create a file called Postgres. So this file is gonna be one of the most simplest one you're gonna see. So what we're gonna have is gonna just be a function called new. And this function here gonna receive a pointer to a PG option. So this option right there, so this PG option gonna have all the stuff we need to do the connection with the database. For example, user, password, which type of database, etc. And here, what we want to return from that is just a database. So with this new, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create an instance of our database. So PG connect. PG connect need to receive the option, and we return this DB like that. And we can just win some time by doing return like that. Now after that, something I forget to do in the last video, it's I would like to be able to see my query to make my life easier. So for that, we need to follow the interface of the logger for the library. So the way I'm gonna handle that is I'm gonna create a DB logger struct, an empty struct, and I need to add two methods to this one. The first one, it's gonna be called before query. So like you see, it's happening before the query. Here I'm gonna get the context. So context, and Q. So that's gonna be the PG query event. And finally here we need to return back the context or an error, like that. And after that we're gonna copy paste this. What happened? We're gonna copy paste this one again, because now we need the after query. But after query, the difference is here we're gonna just return an error. Now you see, now we follow the interface. So the interface was this query hook, and this query hook now can be added to our DB stack. So here, just to make our library, because we don't really need the before query, I'm gonna just return the context and nil, because this is what they need here. But the difference is here, I'm gonna print line the query, formatted query. And I'm gonna return nil because I have no error. Now, when I'm gonna jump back on my server.go, where everything's gonna start, this is where I can plug this thing. So I'm gonna go in at the top of my main. I like that to be the first line. I'm gonna create a Postgres new, where here I'm gonna have PG option. And here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the stuff I need. Example, my user, I have a and a username of Postgres. My password in my computer is still Postgres, and the database, I want that to be Meetup dev, like that. That's gonna be the database I want. After that, I want to defer the fact then when this function gonna finish, I want to close the DB. And also I want to add a query hook, who is finally what we've done, me and you, just before. So add query hook, they add a hook into query processing. So they're gonna add that to their all their the stuff they need. And then we're gonna make use of the format query. So we're gonna be able to see everything we need to be able to see, like example, which type of query we do, etc. Now, I'm gonna create my database. So I'm gonna say create DB, and this is Meetup, I think, Meetup. No, Meetup dev. Perfect. Now I've created my database. Now, if you remember in the last tutorial, we make use of Golang migrate. So this CLI command, I will recommend also to look at that, because that's going to be the same we're going to use. So this one is just a way finally with a CLI stuff to create a up and down for the migration file, and that make your life really easy. But for that, the thing I want to do first is to create a new file called .env. And inside this .env, I'm gonna paste a line of code. Okay, here you can pause the video, and here finally what I want to export a Postgres SQL URL, who's gonna be finally, I just told them, hey, use the Postgres I have inside my machine. My username, my password, localhost, the port, the name of the database, and we do not want the SSL mod. And now after that, I can do source.env. So now I'm going to be able to use this PostgreSQL. Why I can do this with source.env is because I export that. Now what I want to do is to create my migration. So I find it back. So it's migrate, create, with a finally is going to be a SQL, in which directory, Postgres/migration, and create user. That's going to be the first migration we want. Oops, what the heck is that? Okay. After that, I want also to create a migration for the meetups. And now if that works, they're going to create a folder migration with the user. Now here I have some stuff to do with Golang. If you use Golang, you can just follow what I do here, else you can just wait a bit and Meetup/dev, test the connection. Perfect. Apply. Perfect. First thing here, we are in the down. So when we want to roll back, finally, I want to drop the table user. And same for the meetup, drop table meetup. After that here, I'm gonna want to create a table user. And now you see I'm in the up. And for the table user, what I'm gonna do is gonna be just three things. What I want, it's an ID, who's gonna be a big serial, primary key. I want a username with a varchar, I say 55. I need that to be unique and not null. And I want also an email, and I say varchar, I don't know why, varchar 255. I don't know why I say 255, but it's okay for now. Email, so ID, email, etc. I'm gonna copy, paste this line because I'm gonna start with that in the create meetup. So create table meetup, need a space, I need that, I don't know why. Okay, like that. And now inside this one, for the meetup, we're gonna have the name, who's gonna be a varchar 255, unique, not null. I'm also gonna have a description, who's gonna be a type of text. And finally, I need to do a relation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a user ID, who's going to be a big serial reference to the user table, and I want the column ID, and when my user get delete, I want to cascade and delete everything, and I want to make sure the user ID is not null. No need to have a comma here. Now, to finally do the migration, I'm gonna say hop like that. So migrate path from Postgres migration. The database is the one we have from the .env who we source finally, and this is the same name as that, and we say up. So now if everything work, perfect, you see it's right there. So now if I'm opening the database, we're gonna have user with an ID, username, email. You see here's a primary key, so that's why I have the key here. And I have the meetup, where here I have the primary key, the name, description, and I have here a foreign key. That looks like perfect. Now to make our life easier, inside my Postgres file, I'm gonna create a new Postgres folder. I'm gonna create a new file called seed.sql. So that's gonna be a SQL file where we're gonna finally add what we need. So we're gonna say insert into user. I want to insert from to the table user, and I want to fill up the column username and email with value of Bob and bob.gmail.com. After that, I'm gonna copy that 3 times because I want 3 user. I'm gonna have John, and I'm gonna have Jane. After that, I want to also insert into Meetups. I want to fill up name, description, and also user ID. I don't know why I didn't get the autocomplete for that. And I want to fill up with my first meetup. This is a description, and the user ID is going to be 1. And I want another one for this Bob one, who's going to be my second meetup. Perfect. Now you can run, I mean, it's SQL stuff, so you can run your SQL. For me, the beauty of my Golang is I can just say run seed, and I choose which database I want to target, and I click run, and they have insert all of that. And now if I go back to my database, and I click, I see my meetup, who have everything I've just said, and I have the same for the user. Perfect. Now, what we're gonna do, it's, we want to be able to create those things. So inside my Postgres, I'm gonna create 2 files. I'm gonna create a meetup, and I'm gonna create user. And I don't know why, but I like those to become pluralized. Okay, so here we need to tell how to work with finally the database. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a meetups repo. It's gonna be a struct, and inside this meetup repo, I'm gonna receive a pointer to a PGDB, and now I can create some method for that. So the first method we want to this repo is gonna be get meetups. Get meetups is gonna be a simple function. We're gonna return model.meetup as a slice and an error. And one thing also I forget to say, it's inside your model user here. We don't need to get the meetup from that because we get the meetup from a resolver. So I'm just removing it. Just think about that. So here, remember how easy that was in the last video. We start with a var meetups, where I'm gonna have a slice of a pointer meetups. The reason why I don't use new is because new gonna return you that as a pointer. So I don't want to have a pointer to a slice to a pointer to a model. After that, here we're gonna receive an error where we're gonna receive that from the DB model. Now here we need to pass the reference of the meetups, and we call select to receive everything. And finally here, what we do is we're gonna return finally if we have an error. Okay, yeah, If we have an error, it's not nil. I want to return nil and the error, else I'm gonna return the meetups or nil, like that. So we have the get meetup, so getting each meetups. That's gonna be that for at least this part 2. After that, for the user, the one we need for this part 2 is gonna just be get by ID. So I'm gonna copy paste that because I want to just change that to be user repo. Here after that, I'm gonna have a method user repo get by ID or get user by ID, ID as a string, and we're gonna want to return back a pointer to a model user and an error. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create a var user. It's gonna be a type of model user. I'm gonna receive an error here, maybe from the model. Here I need to pass the reference of the user, and I want to do a where condition because I want to fetch the user where is ID equal the ID I'm gonna provide, and I only want to get the first one. If I have an error, I'm gonna return nil and the error, else I'm gonna return the reference of the user and nil. Now, all that can have been simpler if I will make use of new, but I think I'm gonna go with that for now. So now we have our Postgres talking. In the last video, we have created a domain folder with everything. I don't want to go inside this stuff for this video. I think it's just because I want to make it quite simple, and it's not like, oh, maybe I'm gonna have a recipe later. It's, we know we're gonna only have a GraphQL endpoint. So now what we can do is jump back in the resolver and changing some of the stuff. So you remember here, I want to check the resolver where we get each meetups. Meetup right there. So the resolver where we get the meetups, and how I know is this one is because this one go to the query resolver, and that's because is this query right there. So the way we handle that, you're gonna see it's gonna be really simple. We just say here return R, and now what happened? It's I don't have access in my query resolver. I don't have access to my repo, and I want to have access to it. So what I forget to do, it's inside the top here, inside the resolver struct. I want to add 2 elements. I want to add the meetups repo, who's going to be equal to the Postgres.meetup repo. And I also want to have the user repo, who's going to be equal to the Postgres user repo. So now, by doing this here, I'm going to have access to my meetups repo, where I can say get meetups. That's it. And now it's the only thing I need, because this get meetups already return the same value as that. So that's it. The thing is now this resolver do not have access to that yet, because where the resolver is created is inside the server. So the server here, we need to inject finally our 2 repo. So it's right there. So this one need to receive a meetup repo, who's going to be Postgres meetup repo. And this meetup repo need to have a DB pointer. You see, it's not much more easy than that. And this DB is this DB we have created before. So now I'm going to restart the server to see if everything is working. And now what I want you to see is I'm going to refetch back this meetup. And now boom, my first meetup, this is a description. My second meetup, this is the description. And look here, we have what we've do as SQL query. We did say select everything finally from the meetups table. As you can see, that's the real one we did create, because if we look here, my first meetup, this is a description. My second meetup, this is a description. My first meetup, my second meetup. Now the only issue we do have is both go to user 1. And the issue is because in the last video, in our resolver, if we look to the meetup resolver, we have this user here. And if you remember, we did this for loop stuff, and yeah, it's not the thing we want anymore. Now, what I want to do, it's here. I can just receive from the Meetup resolver. I have access to my repo, because remember, the thing happen is this Meetup resolver get finally we use composition, where finally we kind of like injecting everything from the resolver. And now we have access right there to the user repo. I can say get by user ID, and I have access to the user ID because my parent Meetup I have inside that is user ID string, like that. And I can just return the same thing because we follow the same pattern like that. I'm gonna call that, and now I'm gonna jump back to playground. I'm gonna click create again, and now boom, now we receive Bob and Bob. And now if you look here, one query, this is what we do. We do select the Meetup, but after that select each of the user. So here it's this famous n+1 query issue, where finally each Meetup call the database. We're gonna fix that in a next video with the data loader. Now what I would like to do is just to finalize some of the CRUD thing we need here. So one of them example is gonna be this create Meetup. I want to be able to create a Meetup. And for now, I'm gonna be Bob, okay? I don't gonna add authentication yet. So here, the only thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do some validation, where we're gonna check if the input, remember the input is a new Meetup, name description, all that came from this type input name description. All that came from the generator. So here we check the length of the name, if it's at least bigger than 3. If not, here I want to return nil, and I want to return a new error, say name not long enough. After that, I'm gonna do the same stuff for the description. If it's smaller than 3, I want to say return nil, error.new, description not long enough. Again, all that you can have create an error, constant, not constant, but a variable, and just you reuse it. We just want to go fast. So here I'm gonna create my Meetup, and for that I'm gonna make use of the model Meetups. I want to fill up the name with the input name. I want to fill up the description with the input description. And like I told you, for this part, I want to say, hey, I'm Bob. Finally here, what I want to do is I want to have a function here called create Meetup, where I can just pass the Meetup, okay? So I'm gonna create the method create Meetup. So this is Golang. I just jump to this thing. So that just create the Meetup. So now this one don't create anymore, and now I can go there. And my Meetup repo now, I'm gonna create this Meetup, and you're gonna see how simple that's gonna be. So here I want to call from Go PG. So Go PG here gonna have a method to insert. So the thing you need to do first is to pass a pointer to a model. You need to say what I want to return. I want to return, give me everything, because that's the thing about SQL, not SQL, but GraphQL. So you, like the user creates something and he asks after that a lot of the time about getting back these items. So we do this, and I want to call the function insert. That's it. And finally here, I can just return Meetup and the error. You can do the if and do other stuff, but for now we're gonna go with that. So now I have this screen Meetup. So now I'm gonna restart my server. I'm gonna jump back to that, to my Firefox. And here I'm gonna create a new mutation called create Meetup. Why I gave him some name, it's because when you give it name, I can still use the other stuff and this one without deleting this. I want to have my function called create Meetup, where I have my input, and I want to return an ID, name, and a description. If I send that, Now I get an error, fill new meetup of required type string was not provided. Now what happened is GraphQL, we say, hey, give me a string, give me a description, both are required. We do not put those here, you see it's empty. So we get an error right from the GraphQL layer. After that, if I put a name, what happened? If I put a name and a description of an empty string both, now I'm getting name is not long enough. What happened? If we jump to our resolver, we are stopping right there. Name is not long enough. So I'm gonna say this my third meetup. Now if I pass, if I run it, I get description not long enough. So now I'm stopping right there. So now I can fill that. This is another description. And now if I click send, boom, now I get this stuff. ID, name, description. If we look at what we've done at the query, we say insert into the meetup. And what I did insert is my third meetup. This is another description. And for the user ID, I did insert the user one. Now, if I jump back to my get meetup, so the way finally I say I want to get it, I just click command enter. But if you click here, you can choose which one. But now look here, I have 3 meetup right now. Makes sense, I have created another one. So here, if I say my thing is like that, 4. And now if I fetch this one, get meetup, now I'm getting the 4th one right there. And now just to make sure, if I go to my database, meetup, you see, all are inside the database and they are persist. So I hope that makes sense. We're gonna stop for that for this video. Now the only thing we can do is we can remove this user in memory stuff. And now this meetup is still used because we still use the meetup belongs to the user resolver. This is something we're gonna fix in the next video also. And I want to clean up this thing because we start to get quite a lot of line and that's gonna just go further. So in the other part, what I want to do, it's finishing the CRUD stuff, cleaning a bit this code, and also start to use data loader. Trust me, data loader was kind of, I feel it was kind of painful in Node, but I feel in Go, it make a lot of sense. I don't know if this is all they have built a library, you're gonna see how simpler this is. So I hope you enjoyed this part. Let me know in the comments if you have any kind of question. The repo link is gonna be in the description below. And don't forget to push this like button. Thank you. Bye everyone.